Friend slap games are everywhere nowadays, especially horror ones. One of the key features in these games is enemies hearing your microphone and reacting to your voice. Let's make that happen with blueprints. And here we are very appropriately in the first-person horror variant with our enemy posing menacingly over there in the distance. The first thing I want to do to connect my microphone to the enemy's perception system is go to my character, that's the horror character, and add an audio capture component. By the way, if that component doesn't show up for you, then you should enable the audio capture plugin. Once I added it, another piece of configuration I want is to disable the bass submix. This will make it so that we don't hear our own mic through our own speakers, canceling feedback and echoing. And with all that, I want to call the start method from the audio capture component. Great, so now our audio capture is listening to our mic, but we're not getting any values. So let's add an event for audio envelope value or on audio envelope value. So whenever the mic gets any value, it's going to give it to us. And let's see what values we're actually getting. You can see it's a float value. So let's compile, save, and run the game. And we can see a bunch of numbers running on the screen. So this is the level of noise that my microphone is getting. And you can see that even when I'm completely quiet, the number isn't quite zero because there's some ambient noise in my room, right? The air conditioning is on. And when I speak, then I get to maybe around 0.005, 0.1, more or less, something like that. So these values are just the raw values and they're not really what we're after. To tweak them into something that is easier to use, we are going to map them to a range. And this node is going to take a raw value that sits between two numbers and map it to another range between two numbers, which I will now call 0 and 1 for absolute silence and speaking very loudly, or maybe screaming in a jump scare. And the values that we actually saw when I was speaking earlier was 0.002 more or less was silence. So let's say 0.005 just to have a bit more of a buffer. And for actual max loudness, let's say 0.5, right? Just 10 times silence. And let's see what the values look like now when we hook that up to the print node and we hit play. Okay, so when I'm quiet, you can see that we're sitting at 0, so that's good, right? We can see that now. And when I'm talking, I sometimes hit 1, so there's not a lot of headroom for screaming or for speaking very loudly. So let's go ahead and set the max range instead of 0.5 to 0.75. And now when I run the game again, then you can see that I'm not really hitting 1, or yeah, I'm not seeing any 1s. So there's headroom for me to really raise my voice. So I think that these numbers are good enough for now. Of course, these values will change depending on what's going on in the background or your mic setup, etc. So you definitely want to not only tweak these to your case, but also probably make them configurable by the player. So for the sake of simplicity, I'm just leaving them here right now, but yeah, these should be configurable. So now that we have a mic value that we're happy with, I want to hook it in to the AI perception system. So I want to call a ReportNoiseEvent. And I want the noise to be wherever I am. So this is get actor location for the noise location. And the instigator is also, it's me. And the loudness should be between 0 and 1, however much is fed to us through the mic. And the loudness is going to affect how far away people can hear us from. The other side of this noise event is our enemy, conveniently marked in red for danger, which has an AI perception component which is set up with hearing. So our enemy will be able to hear us from 10 meters away, which will be modified by our loudness. So the louder we are, the closer to 1,000 centimeters away the enemy will be able to hear us, and the quieter we are, the closer we'll have to be for the enemy to get the noise event. To see what that looks like, let's go into the level and hit play. So right now we can't see any numbers because I turned off the print node, but to see what's going on, I'll hit comma on my keyboard so we can get this debug view, and I can see this this disk around the enemy that shows the hearing range. So when I'm standing outside and speaking, nothing is happening. But when I move inside and I start speaking, then you can see that there's this sphere that shows up where I am. And that's the debug event from the perception system showing that the enemy can hear me. And if I move around, the sphere moves around with me because the enemy can hear me as I speak. But if I move away and speak more quietly, he won't be able to hear me. Let's see that. So here I am standing away from the enemy inside the range, but he can't hear me because I'm talking quietly. But if I just speak normally, he actually can hear me. So the system is working end to end. It's great. Our mic value is being used to report a noise event with loudness, and our enemy can hear us. Last piece of the puzzle is to hook up the perception system to an actual behavior by the enemy. So on target perception updated, I want to make sure that I'm getting a hearing stimulus. And if it's a hearing stimulus, then go to wherever it is you heard me. Let's see this in action. Back in the game, let's turn on debug view again, and I'm gonna get inside the enemy's hearing range. And if I sort of speak quietly, nothing happens. But if I speak normally, then it's gonna hear me and he's gonna start chasing me. So there you go. We have an enemy that chases us based on how loud I speak into the mic. And this can of course be as sophisticated as you want it to be. Maybe he chases the loudest noise or just the latest noise, or what he prefers. Does he react to environmental events and not just to the microphone? That is up to you. But the base of this whole thing is these nodes right here, is the envelope value clamped into report noise event with loudness. If you found that useful, be sure to do all the good YouTube stuff, like, subscribe, leave a comment, and I will see you next time.